Good morning, all. It's me, Arlene J. Ramsey, CEO and founder of Everyone Let's Talk, also your favorite self wealth mentor. So, is Kanye anti Semitic? I'm going to say no. Did he make comments that was anti Semitic? I'm going to say no. Here's what Semitic means: relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. That means that in order for Kanye or anyone to say something that's anti-Semitic, they have to say things that is anti all that embodies what I just read. Okay, he held the executives accountable. And I get it. Maybe he should have just said, I'm holding the executives accountable, opposed to saying the Jewish people who controls the media and music and entertainment business. Okay, but then we should be questioning ourselves that do they run the or control the music and entertainment business? Okay, and if the answer is yes, how is that hate speech? Okay, the other thing is this: the Black Jews, which is us, and Caucasian Jews have always worked together hand in hand. Okay, Russell Simmons created Def Jam with Rick Rubin. Russell Simmons being a Black Jew, Rick Rubin being a Caucasian Jew. There were Jerry Heller over there at Ruthless Records, or before Ruthless Records, with NWA. Jerry Heller was a Caucasian Jew. NWA, and on the West Coast, we all knew that they were Black Jews. In music and in entertainment, that has always been a marriage, a business, a good business working relationship between the Black Jews and the Caucasian Jews. We need to ask ourselves what happened. Somewhere down the line, it became about money, and it became about inferiority, superiority. And that destroyed good business between both groups of people. Okay. And in that, Kanye also said that when you try to hold them accountable, they silence you. They try to mute you and blackball you. Why are they trying to blackball him for holding them accountable for the musical content that's being created today in hip hop? Let's look at what's happening in hip hop. I don't think the Black community, who has a lot strong opinions about Kanye, know um, hip hop history enough to have these opinions. Okay, rappers has been talking about this for years. Kanye is not the only rapper who is talking about this now. He's the only rapper that's taking a radical approach to what's happening. But when we look at Black men in hip hop, they're being feminized and they're violent and they take drugs, they sell drugs, and they disrespect women. Female rappers are overly sexualized, and they talk about taking advantage of men, and everything is about their vagina and their body, and their lyrics are always explicit. Why? Why is this the only type of image that's okay to be pushed in hip hop today? Years ago, over 10, 15 years ago, we had a variety of hip hop. We had different types of images, different types of lyrical content, including conscious hip hop. What happened? So we see the Black community complain about hip hop and the direction hip hop has gone in, but I don't think you're paying attention to why hip hop is going in the direction that it's gone in. And these are the things that Kanye is challenging. Now, he may not have had the best approach, but the approach that I see that he's taking now tells me that the approach that he tried to take before fell on deaf ears. Not only did it fall on deaf ears, they're deliberately dismissing him because there's money to be made in negative hip hop. And there's also a destroying of the Black community with negative hip hop. What we got to understand is our children are being influenced by these images and this lyrical content. Okay. And this is not a good thing for the progress of our community. All right, we're seeing feminized men. They're glorifying taking drugs. They're glorifying selling drugs. They're glorifying killing other Black men and disrespecting Black women. New hip hop artists are dying by violence, by gunfire, before we really get to know who they are. And the lyrics have a lot to do with it. The images have a lot to do with it. I don't think people understand that music is vibration, and vibration is passive aggressive. It causes us to react and respond in ways that we don't know that we're doing, based off of the chakras and the different things that it's actually connecting with within our body. It's sending waves within our body and is activating certain aspects of us that we don't realize is being activated. This is why it is called a vibration. Hence, negative music is going to continue to create a negative response and negative vibe. We need more positive music and positive images to uplift our community. These are the things that Kanye talks about, and it's disheartening to see that the community and society is focusing on 5% of the things that he said and overlooking 95% of the things that he said, which is actually detrimental to us, the Black Jews, the Black community. Okay? Now, I don't agree with what he said about George Floyd. The things that he said, he clearly state that it was in the documentary. Apparently, Candace Owens created a documentary about George Floyd. So the things that he repeated is what's in that documentary. It's not from his perspective. It's from the documentary. And I'm not sure if we're paying attention to that. When he said when he talked about slavery, he said it sounds like a choice. 400 years of slavery sounds like a choice, and that we are in mental slavery. All right, that was irresponsible as well. But some of the things that he said is true. He crossed a real fine line in saying that. But in that, it should pull on our intelligence to spark a debate and to exchange minds, right? But instead, what's happening is people are lashing out and they're bashing, and they're not really getting to the intelligence of what he's saying. That's dangerous. The other thing he's talked about was the Black Lives Matter movement, right? That too was irresponsible. But let's look at it. Who profited from the Black Lives Matter movement, especially monetarily? Were there any programs that opened up in the Black community? Did they create any programs in the schools? What have the Black Lives Matter do for the Black community other than the protests that we did and the tearing down our communities? Now, granted, the work that went behind creating that movement is exceptional. We need to give that credit, right? Because that's not an easy job to cultivate the people to that level. That was a mass movement, and get a message across, right? And get symbolism across that we matter as a people. That is extremely important, and it shows that we still learned off of our ancestors. Everything that our elders taught us about civil rights, protests, cultivation, we remember it. So we know how to do it. That makes us proud. However, the money, who profited? Where did the money go? Those are the things so he didn't say that, but you should ask yourself, where did the money, those donations, who profited off of that donation from the Black Lives Matter movement, right? So we get caught up with emotionalism and symbolism, and we don't actually see what else is going on behind the scenes. And those are the things that he's saying, right? So I would impose that we start to take more of a complex thought process when it comes to Kanye West or anything that's going on in society. We've gotten to the point of everything has to be quick. And it's impossible to come to a conclusion that quick and be right. If you're coming to a conclusion and you want that conclusion to be as close to the truth and facts as possible, it takes time. You have to gather all information, not just what you're being told. We have to do our own research and examine information and challenge things, apply critical thought to things in order to come to an exact or an appropriate conclusion about what's going on at the moment, right? Back when I was in school, I used to be in spelling bees a lot, and I was taught that I need to learn the origin of the word in order and know the definition of the word so that I know how to spell it. In some cases, I may not need the definition. I may just need the origin. But if I know the origin and it's hard for me to spell a word, I need to ask what's the meaning of the word so that I know how to spell it. That takes time. You understand what I'm saying? The only thing that we can go on a fly like that is if the research that we did, we remember. It's memorized. So some words that we can spell off the top of our head, it's because we memorized it. There's no need to ask for the origin or the definition of it. It's memorized. But for things that's not memorized, we have to do our due diligence in research. You understand what I'm saying? So then when we look at the news headers, everything now, it's about he's no longer billionaire status. They're actually showing the world that it's not right for you to be proud of your accomplishments. It's not okay for you to be proud of becoming a billionaire in the United States of America while you're still a black man, while you're still a black Jew. Like, they're deliberately ripping money away from him because he says that he's the wealthiest black man in entertainment business and in hip hop. What does that have to do with some of the things that he has said? And the challenge is that he's pushing back to the music executives. It's also showing that they're unwilling to sit down and have a conversation. I don't think society's paying attention to that. When people are saying things, calling you out in the open, that means that attempts to call you out or have a conversation behind the scenes was dismissed and went on deaf ears. Like he said, they tried to silence him. So now that he's calling people out in the open, why aren't people saying, let's get to the table and have a discussion? How can we resolve this? Why is the move to cut ties with him altogether, then lie and say that he's saying anti-Semitic speeches and hate speeches? Why is that okay? And why don't you see that hip hop music today, 90% of it is hate speech? 90% of it is anti Semitic. Why aren't we talking about the hip hop records, but the 5% of things that came out of his mouth on that interview is such a big deal? I think these are things that we need to pay attention to. I understand that Kanye has said some things in an inappropriate way without actually expounding on it. It was irresponsible, so I will agree with that. I don't agree with 100% of the things that he's saying and do, but there are many things that he say is the truth, okay? I will say this, that it is those real difficult people behind the scenes that think that they're above reproach, who has no self-awareness or no ability to self-reflect, is actually causing these problems. Those are the people that don't want to be spoken to or challenged on this agenda. On this agenda, these are the people that are shelving conscious music because they say conscious music don't make the numbers that negative hip hop make. And I would challenge you guys to know this: when you go to a grocery store, the store doesn't sell only one item. If you go in the aisle of dish detergent, you're going to see dish detergents by different companies, different brands of dish detergent. But the entire store don't just sell dish detergent. They have different items because we need different things. So why is it with hip hop we don't have a variety of presentation and lyrical content? 15, 20 years ago, we had a variety of content and presentation. We had Queen Latifah, MC Light, Salt and Pepper, Roxanne Shante, Little Kim, Foxy Brown. We've had the Brat, Left Eye. We've had, I mean, the list goes on and on. Miss Melody. We've had so many different, and these are just female hip hop artists. I haven't even gotten to the male, because you guys already know the men is just, but we've had a variety of people. Music is supposed to be uplifting, and I don't think we understand what's happening here. As I said before, music is a vibration, and negative music is going to send negative waves through our bodies, and people react in ways it's passive aggressive. So you don't realize that you're reacting in a negative way based off of the vibration from the music. And then we have people in the community that's going to go and project violence onto others based off of the music and the imagery that they're seeing. Children are looking up to hip hop artists and wanting to be like them before they know what life is about. We don't want our children to see this. Why is it okay for the black rappers to misrepresent themselves and misrepresent the black community? That is not okay. That is destroying our community. It is not positive. It is not uplifting our community. Meanwhile, it is not okay for these executives to misrepresent themselves or their community. It's very clear who's the man in the house, and it's very clear that the woman is the supportive role in their relationship. But in our households and in our relationship, the women, they want the women to take the man role, and then they're having the men feminizing themselves. And we're not seeing that this is not okay. We society don't see that this is what Kanye West is challenging and questioning. I think, you know, if we don't pay attention to what's happening, it's going to get to the point where hip hop will no longer be our genre of music. They're going to take over hip hop, and then we're going to sit back and complain and say that they took over hip hop just like they took over rock and roll, because there's only but so much of this negative imagery and type of music that society is going to want to hear. We're not going to want to hear that anymore. And this is our music. We have every right to fight for what the things that we create, and create things without having other groups of people passive aggressively undermining things that we create so that they can take it over and live off of it. We have every right to pay attention to what's going on, but I don't think that that's happening. Too many people are paying too much attention to 5% of what Kanye West said, instead of and overlooking the 95% of what he says. And I think that we're going down a dangerous road. He's being labeled as crazy. The easiest way to dismiss a person is to label them as stupid and crazy. Because when you label them as crazy and stupid, people won't listen to you. People won't listen to you. And that happens to people who take a radical approach. Each and every time history repeats itself. I implore that you all take a deeper look into what's actually going on behind the scenes and what's actually going on right before our eyes. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. Peace.